Hi, grade 9 math students. So yesterday we talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. Today we're going to talk about how to make an equation of a line if we only have a slope and a point. Okay? So the slope of a line tells us which direction the line is going. So for instance, if it's positive, we know it's going up and right. If it's negative, we know it's going down and right. For any given value of slope, so any number, there are so many possible lines that can fit there. And what we need to do is pinpoint a specific line. So we need to understand what values we need in our equation in order to make a specific line. Okay? So it's not just slope. Like we just learned that a whole bunch of lines can be parallel or perpendicular to each other by just changing that one number. What makes the line specific is its y-intercept coupled with its slope. So before we can kind of solve these equations, because we're not always given all of the information, we might be given a slope and we might have a point on that line. And as soon as we have that point on this line, so for instance, if I have a point like this on this line, then that's going to be unique to this line. There's no way that, let's just say, this point can be on any of the other lines because it doesn't fit there. Okay? So some things that we need to remember, there's many ways that we can find slope. So we said that slope is the same as the letter M, and that's our rise over our run. We can also look at slope as equaling another equation, right? So whenever we make that triangle, really what we're doing is we're taking our rise, which is our y point. So we're taking our second y point, subtracting it from the first y point. So if I was looking here, I'm taking this y point and I'm subtracting it from this y point and I'm dividing it then by my x points. Okay? And we also need to remember that our equation of a line is y equals mx plus b, and that we can substitute values in for our y and our x. Okay? So let's look at the first example. Here we're given a slope of 1/2 and a point on that line 1 and 5. Remember that when we have a point, so this point 1 and 5, that's giving us two pieces of information. That's giving us our x and our y for that equation of the line. Okay? So our first step here is going to be writing the general equation of our line, which is just y equals mx plus b. Now we're going to substitute in the information that we need. And the goal here is that we need to figure out what that y-intercept is. That's the piece of information that we don't have right now. Okay? So instead of a y, I'm going to write a 5. I get that from the equation. Instead of an m, I'm going to write 1/2 because that's my slope. And instead of an x, I'm going to write 1 because that was what was in my point, plus b. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2, so I'm just going to write that as 0.5, which is 1 divided by 2, plus b. Okay, and now I'm going to solve for b. So if I'm adding 1/2 on the right-hand side, I need to subtract it to bring it over. And 5 minus 0.5, that's going to be 4.5. So what this means here is that this equation of a line that has the slope of 1/2 and this point of 1 and 5, if I were to put this on a graph, it's going to cross that y-axis at 4.5. So I can make that equation of a line. I can say, okay, so y equals, I'm going to replace my m with 1/2 x plus, plus 4.5. Okay? Okay, so just remember that our equation of a line, it's always going to look like this form. So our very last step is rewriting it like this. So in part B, now we're going to try to graph this. And I can graph this pretty easily because it's in this form. So I know that I need to put a dot at y is 4.5. And just a reminder, y and x. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to put some numbers on this graph. Okay, so at 4.5, I'm going to put a dot. And now I'm going to go up 1 over 2 because that's what my slope is. So I go up 1 to 5.5 over 2. And I'm just going to put one more dot there. And now we can make our line. Okay. So you need to know how to do all of this graphing, and if you're having a hard time with it, then send me a message, because this is a really important part of grade 10, well, basically the rest of math for high school. So this is going to be my graph of my line, and my very last step here is I need to label it with that equation. Okay. Let's finish up example 2 and 3 here, and then we're not going to do the word example. We'll leave that for tomorrow. Just quick lessons this week, because I want to really make sure that you guys are taking care of yourselves, and I don't want it to be too stressful on you. I know that you have a lot going on with your other courses. So in this example, I have a slope of 4 and a point of -2 and 1. Remember again that this is an x and a y value in my point. And I want to find the equation of this line. So my general equation is y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to substitute in the values that I have. So instead of y, I can write a 1. This comes from that point. Instead of an m, I can write a 4 because that's my slope. And instead of an x, I can write a -2 plus b. 4 times -2 is -8 plus b. And because this 8 is negative on the right-hand side, I have to add to get rid of it. So 1 plus 8 is 9. And that's going to be my y-intercept. So now that I have my y-intercept, my b point, I need to rewrite my equation of a line. So y equals, I'm going to put m, my slope, so 4. Keep my y and x as letters, plus 9. Okay. All right, last example. So we're going to find an equation of a line with slope 5/6 going through the point 6 and 5. So remember, this is my x value. This is my y value. So again, instead of an m, I'm going to replace that with 5/6. Instead of y, I'm going to replace that with 5 because I'm getting that from here. Instead of x, I'm going to write a 6 and that 5/6, okay? So this looks really scary because I have a fraction, and we may not really know how to do this. So what we do with fractions is we multiply tops with tops. So I'm going to do 5 times 6, which is 30, divided by 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. And if you look, that's exactly what my numerator was before. So what we can also do, the shorter way of doing that, is noticing that this and this, okay, are going to cancel. 5 plus 5 equals, like this. If I'm adding 5 on the right-hand side, I have to subtract it to the left. 5 minus 5 is 0, which means that my y-intercept is 0. That's okay. So again, if I was to write this, or, okay, so my equation of the line is going to be y equals 5/6x plus 0, or y equals 5/6x. Okay, so I've put some suggested practice problems on the Google Classroom. Let me know how they go. It's okay if this takes you a little bit. That's why I made the video shorter. Send me an email if you need an extra explanation. Have a great day, guys.